The Detroit Tigers are in the playoffs. I'll repeat that again. The Detroit Tigers are in the playoffs. Now, I don't know about you, but I certainly didn't have that on my 2024 postseason bingo card. They also just eliminated the Astros in the Wildcard round.
You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
Much like Arizona did last year, these Tigers have come out of nowhere to not only knock out their division rivals, the Minnesota Twins — that's a collapse of epic proportions that deserves its own video altogether — but to pass by numerous other teams like Tampa and Seattle, who just sat idly by and did nothing as Detroit shot their way up the standings and into the playoffs. As we get ready to take a look at Detroit's improbable run, don't forget to drop a like if you enjoy the video, and a follow as well if you're new here so we can continue growing our Baseball Blues community together. Going into the year, there was not much expected from this crop of Tigers. While the talent was clearly there, many of their young players had underachieved during what should have been their development campaigns the previous few years. Former first overall picks Casey Mize and Spencer Torkelson had shown flashes of brilliance, but had mostly failed to live up to the hefty expectations that came with being the top pick in the draft. While others like outfielder Riley Green had spent 2023 in and out of the lineup with different ailments, and the once promising developments of right-hander Matt Manning and former Rule 5 pick outfielder Akil Baddoo had hit a brick wall. Meanwhile, the 2022 signing of former World Series champion Javier Baez had proven to be a disaster, as the $140 million shortstop had combined to hit a lowly .230 with just 26 home runs and 126 RBI with a 77 OPS plus in his first 2 seasons in Detroit. And again, that's combined. Names like Jack Flaherty and Mark Canha signed during the offseason, looking to have bounce-back years and hopefully find themselves in new homes with something to play for come the trade deadline. And that right there was one of the many reasons why not much was expected from the 2024 Tigers. I mean, how often do expected contending teams that aren't in a financial crunch buy low on multiple players? But to the surprise of many, Tigers fans like my dad included, the team played well in the first month of the season, as their 10-4 road and 17-13 overall records led them to 3rd place in the AL Central through the first month. From the get-go though, it was clear that any success they were going to find was going to be courtesy of their pitching leading the way, as their +7 run differential had them tied with the Mets for the lowest among teams with a winning record through the first month, while their team batting average and OPS sat near the bottom of the league. As for the aforementioned pitching, their 3.26 team ERA ranked in the top 5 in MLB through the end of April, led by budding team ace and emerging early season Cy Young favorite Tarik Skubal. Unfortunately for Tigers fans, once the calendar page flipped to May, the joy seemed like it was destined to be short-lived, as Detroit looked like they had pulled a Rockies. Now, if you're not familiar with the term pulling a Rockies, it's actually quite simple, sad, and frustrating all at the same time. Start the season well, give false hope to your fan base that you're finally turning the corner, collapse immediately in May, and settle into the familiar bottom of the standings for the rest of the season. The Tigers lost 7 of their first 10 games in the month of May and fell into 4th place, and 1 game under 500 by the end of the month. They still weren't hitting, and their pitching was slipping down the rankings as their bullpen struggled mightily in May, posting a 5.81 ERA. The rest of the first half was pretty much the same as May. Skubal continued to dominate, cementing himself as a legitimate Cy Young contender and earning his first All-Star Game selection, while the remainder of the rotation pulled their weight as well for the most part, while their bullpen and most of their lineup, aside from their other All-Star Riley Green, continued to struggle. At the trade deadline, with the team sitting 5 games under 500, General Manager Jeff Greenberg did the sensible thing and traded away his rentals, sending veteran outfielder Mark Canha to the Giants, reliever Andrew Chafin and catcher Carson Kelly to the Rangers, and starter Jack Flaherty to the Dodgers. If the Tigers crawled back into their cave and bunkered down for the remainder of the season, no one would have blamed them. But but destiny is a cruel mistress. Or in the 2024 Tigers case, a fun one. With the previously mentioned players shipped off at the trade deadline, new players took their places. And then suddenly, Detroit started to win. A lot. On August 11th, after dropping their first 2 games of a 3-game series against San Francisco, it was as if a switch flipped in the Music City clubhouse, as Detroit went on to win 14 of their next 19 to finish the month and climb their way back to 500 for the first time since early June. Not even the injury to Javi Baez in late August slowed them down, not that he had been much help to begin with the team plugging Trey Sweeney in at shortstop, one of the array of young players they had acquired at the deadline. In September, manager AJ Hinch and his boys continued their winning ways, losing only 2 series in the entire month, and finishing September with a 17-8 record as they leapfrogged the crumbling Twins in the wildcard standings in the final weekend of the regular season, and punched their ticket to the postseason in Game 160 of the year against the lowly White Sox, earning their first playoff berth since 2014. Another lost season in Detroit looked all but set in stone just a few months ago. But it just goes to show what happens when the stars align and a team comes together. Whether Parker Meadows, Riley Green, Matt Verling, Colt Keith, or any of their array of other young bats, this offense has grown to embody the definition of next man up, outplaying their near bottom ranked offense with timely and clutch hits when it matters most. Their rotation continues to be led by pitching Triple Crown winner Tariq Skubal and then everyone else, while AJ Hinch has shown off his managerial chops that come with being a winning skipper, pulling strings left and right to outwit his opponents with his self-described pitching chaos, while sporting the lowest payroll of all the playoff teams. And if their offense and bullpen can continue their second half resurgence, there might be very few teams, if any, that can stop the 2024 Detroit Tigers on their march to a pennant. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button below and subscribe so you don't miss any of my new content. I'm TK, and I'll catch you next time here on the Baseball Blues.